Hello everyone, you may wonder why we're doing this video. And yes, we all know that we're told to do it, but there's something way more important, which is to find out whether the high school students in KAS have a clear understanding of urbanization and slums in a global aspect, and whether or not we're international enough. So starting off, our group came up with 9 questions to ask our KAS high school students. So first, I would like to explain the question. What is your definition of urbanization? I blank the process of urbanization increase the quality of life. How would you describe your neighborhood? Do you feel safe in your neighborhood? What are slums? Where are most slums located in the world? Are there slums in Taiwan? Are there slums in parts of Kaohsiung? Where are most slums found? So because we are researching about urbanization and slums, of course our questions should be related to those concepts and ideas as well. Therefore, those are our questions. Now, I should start moving on to the responses. So we received a total of 75 responses from the high school students. Out of the 75 students, 12 of them are seniors, 38 juniors, 23 sophomores, and 2 freshmen. The results came out pretty shocking because for our first question, what is your definition of urbanization? Most of the high school students define urbanization as the process of people moving from rural area to urban areas. Because out of the 75 responses we received, 78.9%, which is 60 people, thinks that urbanization is just the process of people moving from rural areas to urban cities, which means that they only think of urbanization as the process of people moving from one area to another, and they did not consider the challenges that are brought by the populations. Second question, I blank the process of urbanization increased the quality of life. From our responses, 3 people strongly agree, 49 people agree, 21 people disagree, and 2 people strongly disagree that the process of urbanization increased the quality of life. Out of the 3 people that strongly agree were 1 sophomore and 2 juniors. Out of the 49 people that agree were 1 freshman, 14 sophomore, 25 juniors, and 9 seniors. Out of the 21 people that disagree, there were 1 freshman, 5 sophomore, 11 juniors, and 4 seniors. Last, for the people that strongly disagree, both of them are sophomores. So from the responses and the chart, it's clear that the majority of high school students think that urbanization is a process that increased their quality of life. Question 3. How would you describe your neighborhood? We received a majority of 59 people that identified their neighborhood as middle class, 14 people for high class, and only 2 people that identified their neighborhood as lower class. And from the data chart, it is clear that the majority of high school students think that their neighborhood are in the middle class. However, our group does not think that that's the case, because from everyday view, it's like most students have a pretty wealthy background. And for people who drove Mercedes, BMW, Maserati, and Porsche, they won't be living in any places that are considered middle class. So we think that the people who chose middle class should change their answers to high class. Question 4. Do you feel safe in your neighborhood? The majority of responses from the high school students think that their neighborhood are pretty safe, with a vote of 49 people who thinks that their neighborhood is safe, and 21 with responses of sometimes, and 2 with no, not at all. 5. What are slums? From the responses we received, it seems that there are 3 definitions that receive really close votes, where we received 25 people who believe that slums are a amalgam of dilapidated housing, overcrowding, disease, poverty, and vice, and 25 people who believe that slums are poorly built homes, no running water, no electricity, and 22 people who believe that slums are urban decay, high rates of poverty, and unemployment. Last of all, only 2 people believe that slums are neighborhood or area controlled by criminal. Question 6. Where are most slums located? Out of 75 people, Asia and Africa has the leading vote, where 28 people chose Asia and 33 people chose Africa as places that have the most slum population, following up with 8 in South America, 4 in North America, and 2 in Europe. Question 7. Is there slums in Taiwan? Most of the responses we received, the high school students think that there are slums in Taiwan, where 24 students said definitely there are slums in Taiwan, and 27 said yes, but 7 students said no and 17 for I don't know. From the responses, it's easy to tell that most students think that there are slums in Taiwan. Question 8. Are there slums in parts of Kaohsiung? Linking with the previous question on whether there are slums in Taiwan, 50 students said yes, there are slums, but 56 said that there are slums in part of Kaohsiung, which is pretty weird. And in the previous question, 7 people said that there are no slums in Taiwan. However, in the responses here, there are 19 people who thinks that there are no slums in part of Kaohsiung, which is weird as well. So from the data, we can interpret that students doesn't really have a clear understanding of slums, or even if they do, they only have clear understanding of a specific kind of slum. Question: where are most slums found? We received that most people think that slums are located in the cities, but the responses for cities and countryside are both really close, where there's only a difference of 7 people, where 41 said that there are more slums found in cities and 34 responses said that there are more slums found in countryside. Based on the responses for the question, it depends on the person's understanding of slums, because different people have different interpretation of slums, where in Mike Davis' book, The Planet of the Slum, some people believe that slums are an area of dirty back streets, especially when inhabited by a squalid of criminal population. However, some people might just view slum as an overcrowded area.
My first question for you is that what are some of the factors that influence the environment that are overcrowded and over-contaminated in the cities?
I think that there's a lot of internal migration in countries where people are moving from countrysides to the cities, and maybe the services that the cities provide can't respond to all of their needs. So lack of services, maybe a shift in economy from agriculture to city, and also it's a lot of times the people who find themselves in crowded situations don't have political representation, so it's hard for them to get their issues resolved.
And what are the key factors that define urbanization? Do you have any concepts?
Urbanization, I guess, to me means a shift to the city. So shift from a more agricultural society to a more industrial or service-based society, where people are living closer together. That's what I would say.
And connected to that, to what extent does urbanization increase or decrease your quality of life?
Well, I think it must depend on where in the city you live, because I think urbanization in some ways has caused a lot of cities to be more vibrant. There's more people living in the city, there's more people in the place, there's more opportunity for art and communication of ideas, but oftentimes that is limited to particular areas of the city. So I think your quality of life is really dependent on what part of the city you find yourself living in.
So for you, you think that, in your opinion, do you think it increase or decrease your quality of life?
Moving into a city?
Yeah.
I think it's increases my quality of life. There's more options, there's more jobs, there's more people to communicate with, but I also grew up in a very non-urban environment, and I like the space and I like the quiet of being away from the city. So.
I see.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
For Mr. Strait, he thinks that the biggest factor is the promise of finding work. People move to cities because in rural areas there's not a lot of work. So people move to cities to find work. And for some people it's true, but for some people they never find jobs. They end up in low-cost slums. Not much water, not much electricity, and not much hope for employment. And that brings crime, not because they're bad people, but because they can't find a proper job. So most of the big megacities in the world have slums because people come from rural areas to find jobs, but they can't. Mr. Shea said that urbanization is defined by large, dense population centers. The infrastructure to support those people could be very good, could be very bad, or just does not exist. But basically, it's defined by the density of people. For Mr. Shea, it increased his quality of life because he was born in a middle-class family and he has access to good education and skills to be a teacher. So for him, urbanization increased the quality of his life. Ms. Teachers think that the main factor that influenced the development of slum is that there are lots of poverty and people don't have lots of access to resources. She also thinks that for an area to be urbanized, there should be a city center, some businesses, specific number of people, community, school, and parks, and different development for different people to different lifestyles. Ms. Teachers think that urbanization helped the people because it's easy for people to go about their business and daily life and make money and actually get things done. However, rural area are really nice because she used to live in a rural area which was about 30 minutes away from the city. The place she lived in was really nice because there were animals which can help children learn, even though at times it's dangerous because there are black bears. But where she lived back then, she needs to write everything down before her family goes to grocery because it's pretty far away and they can't go there every day. Our group came up with hypothesis of different culture and different living conditions will influence people's way of thinking and understanding because from our responses, it's clear that most high school students in KS thinks that the process of urbanization is good, which in some cases it's true because like what the teacher said in the interview, it created an easier way of living because transportation is easier and there's better infrastructures. But the students somehow did not consider the challenges that were brought along with the process of both urbanization and globalization. And tying with the SOI, 21st century urban environment present humanity with unique challenges. It seems like high school students does not have a clear understanding of urbanization and slums because of what I just mentioned, where they view urbanization as the process that increased their quality of life, but they've excluded the fact that urbanization brought challenges for human population like slums. High school students in KS seems to just have a narrow understanding and view of urbanization and slums, probably because compared to other mega cities or urban area, Kaohsiung is considered really safe. Because even though we have building that looks poor, but we wouldn't view it as something serious or people dealing with drug over there, as if we were looking at other countries like the Philippines or even New York. Also because we are going through a different kind of urbanization compared to places like Dhaka. So above are all the factors that might narrow their perspective of our students. Therefore, we should add more units on global urbanization for MYP students, and we, as high school students, should make some videos about slums and urbanization to be played at the TVs around our campus.